Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar called How to Make 2021 Make Up for 2020. My name is Dan Jablons. I'm the president of Retail Smart Guys. A little bit more about me in a moment, but I wanted to thank you guys all for attending. Today's webinar, we have quite a diverse crowd here. We've got some of you that are already Retail Smart Guys clients and some of you that are not clients, but maybe thinking about that, and some that are just checking it out to check it out, which we're glad to have all of you guys here. Let's get started right away. There's so much for me to tell you about. I put together this webinar because, obviously 2021 will be better than 2020. How could it not be? I mean, can you imagine? So it's got to be better. So just the fact that it's better is really not enough. We want to figure out, how do we make up for all that happened in 2020 in 2021? How do we recover those sales? How do we recover those profits? How do we recover those customers? How do we get our businesses where they need to be? And my real honest feeling about 2021 is that it may start off a little quiet here in the first quarter, but and maybe into the second quarter. It really depends on how the vaccine rolls out and how people adapt to the vaccine, et cetera, all that kind of stuff. But I think that the retail businesses are going to just boom in the middle of 2021. I think somewhere around middle of the second quarter and through the rest of the year, people are going to be excited. They're going to want to start traveling again. They're going to want to start going to parties again. They're going to want to interact again, and they're going to want to get dressed again. They're going to say to themselves, good Lord, I could spend the rest of my life and never put on a pair of sweatpants again, right? So the purpose of this webinar is to make sure that we keep the ship steady for the first part of 2021 and then prepare ourselves to explode when the industry picks up. All right, first a little bit about me. Again, my name is Dan Jablons. I'm the president of Retail Smart Guys. This past year, I celebrated my 60th birthday. God help me. I started in retail when I was 17, so I do have over 40 years of retail experience. And Retail Smart Guys, as many of you know, specializes in merchandise planning and cash flow planning, open to buy, and all things retail. So I'm very excited to do that work. And to me, it's not even work. I really enjoy it a great deal. And I love working with retailers. I love working with all of you guys, and I'm glad to have you all here. And as some of you know, in addition to being the president of Retail Smart Guys, I'm also an actor. I think it's county law in Los Angeles that 1 out of 3 people that live here have to say they're an actor. So just in order to be in compliance, I've said that. But I have actually had some success on television. There's a picture of me there with Larry David. I was his lawyer on Curb Your Enthusiasm for a bit. And a few months ago, I was in a Facebook commercial, and that's my big face there, being a professor on the Facebook commercial. But really, I spend most of my time in the world of helping retailers. And so that's the basis of today's webinar, and I'm excited to do that with you. Okay? Now, before we get too far along, for your own sanity's sake, as you start to look at what's happened last year and you're trying to figure out what to do about this coming year, the most important thing I would say to you is, the first point on here says to get pumped up. And the reason I say that is because simply this. I could draw a line between the retailers that I have last year that actually had a really successful year despite everything. Actually, some of them even beat last year's sales. Some of them sold more in 2020 than they sold in 2019. It really is true. And some of them actually had better margins. You're going to see some examples of that in a little bit here. And I would draw a line between the people that did well and the people that really got crushed last year in a lot of cases because of the energy they put into the business. Some people kind of looked at it and went, you know what, we're going to get killed. I'm going to roll over. I'm not going to make it. That's how it's going to go. And that's what happened to those folks. And then there are other people that I work with who just said, you know what, I'm going to fight for every dollar. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to promote like crazy. I'm going to stay connected to my customers. I'm going to have a fun time. And those people kind of killed it. So the key here, which you'll hear me say a lot through this whole thing, is to be excited, certainly, stay safe, get others to stay safe, promote what you're doing. Talk about the great inventory that you have. Make it personal, put yourself out there, and really control your inventory well so that you actually have control over the biggest driver of cash flow for you, okay? And use everything that's in this webinar here to develop an action plan for yourself and for your business. And if you have trouble with that, please, please, please connect with us. We here at Retail Smart Guys, both myself and Dave Lieb and Audrey Watson, are constantly and consistently connecting up all of the great things that retailers are doing around the world And in preparation for this webinar, I actually spoke to retailers probably bigger than you, probably smaller than you. I've talked to a ton of retail consultants. I've talked to consultants in other industries. I've talked to people in the point of sale world. I've collected a lot of points of view from lots of different perspectives to put together what I put together today. So, stay excited, stay pumped up, treat it as if your store is opening for the first time, and stay connected to us and develop your action plan so that you're not worried and you feel like you've got some ideas and some plans and some uh, uh, things that you're going to do to get your store going in the direction it should be going in. All right, so when I thought about this webinar, and after I collected up all this information, I kind of broke it up into three different elements of your business. Firstly, I looked at inventory, and of course, that's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't mean that the other areas aren't important. Obviously, a successful retail store has to have lots of elements to it. Got to have a great location. Got to be good at marketing. Got to have good salespeople. Got to have great merchandise, etc. All those things are totally true. But the centerpiece of all that is inventory. So that'll be the first thing I talk about. But I'm also going to spend some time talking on marketing. I love talking about marketing. I love looking at some great marketing ideas that are out there. And I want to talk to you about some things I think you need to do. And then we'll finish it up with some talking about selling. How is selling different now in this COVID and post-COVID world than it was in 2019? So let's start by talking about your inventory. Lord knows it should be your biggest priority. You spend more on your inventory than anything else, right? More than rent, more than utilities, more than people, more than technology. You spend more on your inventory than anything. And so, therefore, assembling the right inventory, manicuring it, curating it, and getting it right should be your biggest priority. And if there's anything that you get out of today's webinar, anything, it's this. You must turn faster in the first quarter. Okay, your goods must turn faster in the first quarter. You can't be sitting on a ton of old inventory. You got to find ways to turn that into cash, but you must turn faster. Turning fast is going to be the key to the secret to your success, not only now, by the way, in the midst of all of this madness between COVID and the end of COVID, okay, but also down the road. I mean, the lessons you learn in terms of turn right now are going to pay dividends to you, not only now, but in years to come, because you're going to learn how to turn your inventory faster, which means you're going to keep a lower inventory investment and you're going to be more profitable and you're not going to hang on to goods that are not selling. So what is it really worth to turn faster? I wanted to give you just a little math example here from a store doing about $1 million. Okay, so if they're currently doing $1 million and turning it 2.5 times a year, right? Their inventory completely changes over 2.5 times a year. The average inventory that you're holding on to at cost is about $172,000. Okay, if you just improved it a half a turn and took your turns from 2.5 to 3, then instead of holding $172,000, you hold $143,000, and you actually keep $28,000 in your pocket. Okay, and if you actually improved it a full turn to 3.5, okay, you would actually only have an average inventory of roughly about $123,000, right? So that would save you about $49,000 in expenditures. I mean, those are big money numbers, right? That's kind of an important thing to do. So sometimes when we talk about improvements in turn and we talk about improvements to cash flow as a result of speeding up turns, people look at that and they kind of go, yeah, it doesn't seem like a big deal to go from a 2.5 to a 3, but it actually is a really big deal. It's actually a really, really big deal. So I want you to think about this. And those of you that are clients that are on the call, I can tell you that we've been working with the planners to sort of spin the turns a little bit faster. Make sure when you look at your plans this month that you look at how we're planning your turns on each individual classification. And if you feel like you're turning not the right rate, if you're turning too fast or you're turning too slow, please make sure you talk to me or Dave or Audrey or whoever you're working with to make sure we get your turns exactly the way we need them to be. Okay, I really want to make sure that your turns are turning properly, and we want to make sure you're turning faster. So if you feel like you could turn a little bit faster, let's talk about it. But turning faster produces this kind of, well, our own version of PPP money. And frankly, if we could keep that going, okay, and make that happen, the reality is that you would have this kind of savings or have better cash flow, not only during the virus and not only as we start to recover from this virus, but for years and years and years to come. I can't emphasize it enough. It's so important to keep an eye on that turn and to make sure you're turning at the rate that you feel you should be turning. Okay. Now, is it possible to turn faster? Yes. How do you do it? Okay. Well, the first thing is you have to have a believable and achievable sales forecast. We work very hard on making sure that we have just the right forecasts for all the areas of your business to make sure that it's going the right way. Okay. Uh, um, so um, make sure that you've got your forecasts lined up properly. If you don't feel like you have a good forecast, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. Okay. And keep in mind that we have the largest independent retail database on the planet now. For those of you that don't know, we used to have a big competitor called RMSA. In February of this year, Management One bought RMSA. So we now literally have the single largest independent retail database, and we utilize that to basically come up with the best forecasting. We're using lots of artificial intelligence, and we're using lots of forecasting modeling and that kind of stuff, so that we are really, really closely monitoring what's happening in our forecasting. And before the virus was starting, our forecasting accuracy overall for our clients was in the 94 percentile range. It got better when we started to implement artificial intelligence, and even during the virus, while we started to modify the models based upon what was happening out there, we actually maintained our forecasting accuracy in the 90s, and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So again, look at your forecasts. If you're not sure, you don't feel like they're right, or if you don't have one, reach out to us. That's what we're here for. Okay. Now, it's not just about forecasting your sales. Okay. One of the more important aspects of this is not only forecasting your sales, but forecasting what kind of inventory do we need to have, and that's how you achieve those turn things. But it's not only just forecasting what inventory do I want to have every single month. It's also looking very, very carefully at, well, gee, where am I going to end the season? Okay, where do I want that seasonal inventory to end? And that's such an important one. Okay, you have to think about what month does the season end in, and where's my inventory going to be? Okay, and how do I target my inventory so that I have the right inventory that I cash out and get to the next season, right? This is and has always been a core function of profitable retailing, but it's even more important now. And I can't emphasize enough the importance of turning faster now, because it's the way to make sure that you have cash on hand and not a whole bunch of inventory on hand that you feel like you can't get out of. Okay, super, super important. I can't emphasize that enough. I really, really believe in that, and I hope you believe in it too. And if you don't, or if you need help with that, please reach out to any one of us. We're here to make sure that we nail that down with you. Okay, all right. Now, can we? The other thing that's kind of been amazing is that people are achieving better margins that last year and are achieving better margins now. So here's the thing. First of all, we're not seeing that big discounts are driving a lot of selling out there. In fact, we're seeing the reverse. Okay, we're seeing that a lot of discounted sales um, uh, are really not what's moving the needle for a lot of folks. What really is moving the needle for a lot of people is fresh, new, exciting, fun inventory. Okay, people still want to transact. They still want to buy, and actually, really, what they want is to somehow, some way, return to some level of normalcy while all this is happening. Okay, and the way you do that, we'll talk about that in some of the marketing thing, but certainly having something new for them to look at, having something interesting to look at, having something fun for them to look at is critical to your selling right now. And new merchandise and fresh merchandise is what drives sales at retail. There's just no other way to say that. Now, I will tell you, a lot of our clients are telling us that they've started to invest in collaborations and private label, and some of that stuff is working really well too, because it's unique, because it doesn't exist out there, and there are people that can do that for you and with you, and some of the minimums that used to scare people off have gone away. And it's a little easier. Certainly, everybody wants to kind of recover and do more business now. So you may, if you try to do that and you felt like it didn't work out so well, I certainly would have you think about maybe revisiting that again. Okay. All right. And certainly, as many of you are seeing, it's a good time to continue to negotiate with vendors. Look, I'll be on it. I'll be straight up with you guys, and those of you that have talked to me personally know that my feeling on this. It's such a wacky time in the vendor world, isn't it? I mean, not only are they themselves trying to recover from all of this stuff, and as a result, some of the shipping from some of the vendors has been, well, let's just say a little less than stellar. But on top of that, okay.
On top of that, the difficulty that we're seeing out there is that, the shipping companies, UPS and FedEx and DHL and even the Postal Service are so overwhelmed right now that we're hearing tons and tons of issues of people having difficulty getting their goods. So you want to make sure that you've talked to the vendors, you're negotiating better deals and better terms. Okay, it's the best time to talk to them about it. Okay, and at the same time that you're getting shipped as early as you can for the stuff that you really want because shipping has been a nightmare. Okay, all right now. So I wanted to give you some examples of this is one of the people that I work with personally, and look at the difference between 2019 and 2020. Okay, so first off, they actually saw an increase in sales, which was breathtaking. But they did it by being creative, and I'll get to that into the selling online thing. But they actually did a bunch of creative things in terms of, buy online, pick up in store, delivery, online selling, comments sold, that kind of stuff. They just didn't lay down. They just fought for every sale, lots and lots of clienteling, lots of that kind of stuff. Okay. But the two things that are unique about this that I want to bring to your attention, okay, are first off, their maintained markup went from 40% to 42% because their knee-jerk reaction to just discount everything was taken away from them during COVID, and they suddenly found themselves actually doing 2 points better in margin. And at the same time, because of shipping issues, because they were conservative in the buy, because they worked closely with the plan, we lowered the purchases by about $87,000. Okay, as a result, their GM ROI went up, but they were more profitable. So amazingly, they were more profitable in 2020 than they were in 2019. Now, this stuff is all stuff that you guys can all do, but you have to target it. You have to fight for it, right? You have to look at where your margins are and how can I get 2 more points. Look at your vendor mix. Look at the assortments there. Look at it. Look at it with us. We're here to help you with that, okay? Look at your average inventory cost, okay, which is what's driving your turns. How do I make that faster, okay? Target it with us. Figure out where you could turn faster. Okay, there's going to be a ton of places to do it, and if you struggle with it, you call us up. Call your Uncle Dan, call your Uncle Dave, call Aunt Audrey, call your call. We want to be like your relatives that are in the business with you. You know what I mean? We want to be there to help you with that, to plan out what this is going to look like. Okay, but if you can improve your margin by 2 points, okay, and reduce your purchases to the degree that's on here, and maybe get a half of a turn out of it, okay, the money that you're hoping for in terms of PPP or EIDL or any other sources that you're looking for, okay, would be a great add-on, but they're not going to drive your business the same way this will. And by doing this and getting used to doing this now, the continued benefit of the healthiness of this will carry forward not just in this year, but year after year after year. I just, uh, I know I'm probably harping on this a lot, and that may make some of you crazy, but here's the thing. I believe it in my heart. I genuinely do. And I know it's the path to success for all of you guys. I've been in retail for a long time. I was in the point of sale world for a long time. I was on the manufacturing side for a long time. And after all of these years of looking at it and actually watching and working with retailers, this right here is the thing. It is the thing that makes the difference. I mean, yes, there are other aspects of retail that obviously are important, right? You have to have good salespeople. You got to market the store well. You got to be located in a great place. I'm not taking away from any of that stuff. That's all still super important. I totally get it, right? That said, assuming that those are the basics, right? That those are things that you actually positively have to have. Once you've done that, even if you had a great space and great salespeople and great marketing, if you don't have the right merchandise, your business is destined to fail. So manicuring and curating it and getting it right, improving your margins and improving your turns are the core things you have to do as buyers. Okay. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about cash margin. I talk a lot about it, but I want to first define it for those of you that don't know how it works, and then I'll give you some other examples. So here's how this works. Let me just give you an example here. Let's just say you go to a trade show, and Lord knows, I hope we get to go to some this year, don't you? But if you're going to them virtually, or if you're buying from a vendor anyway, and you buy some goods, you buy $2,000 worth of merchandise. Okay, you're hoping to sell them for $5,000. Okay, 2.5 times markup. If you're in the world of apparel, that's not piggy, that's not crazy, that's a standard thing, right? So if I'm going to buy $2,000 worth of goods and I'm hoping to sell them for 5,000, I'm hoping for $3,000 in margin. Okay, Not too hard to figure out there, right? But now let's just say you only sell $4,100. Why? Well, maybe there were markdowns, maybe you gave some away, maybe you took a couple for you, whatever happened there, okay? But you didn't get it, maybe not everything got sold, okay? So you were hoping for 5,000 in sales, you only got $4,100 in sales. So now your cash margin to calculate that, okay, is actually the $4,100 you sold minus the $2,000 you spent, and that's $2,100. Now here's the important thing, okay? Your point of sale system, whatever it is, okay, if you buy something for $50 and sell it for 100, it's going to tell you that your gross margin is 50%. And that's a valid number and it's a true number, okay? But what if you bought 30 of that item and only sold one? From a cash perspective, you'd be upside down, right? So the importance of measuring cash margin is to see just how much of your planned margin you're getting out of the goods. It is the best way to evaluate your vendors, to see if the planned margin I was hoping for is what I actually got. Okay. Now, we do that through something called the vendor scorecard. Those of you that are on the call that are clients know that I'm a big fan of the vendor scorecard. If you're not a client and you need a vendor scorecard, reach out to your Uncle Dan here and I'll help you get one. Okay. And if you are a client and you're not utilizing it, reach out to any of us. We want to make sure you're utilizing it to help you evaluate your vendors, and we'll help you make sure that you get that done. Okay. But you basically run this by department, class, and then subclass, and then style, because you may find that vendors that you're working with, okay, and you'll see the data in the next screen, they may be good in one department but lousy in another, okay? So you want to look at that as you look at their line. And the other thing I find about the vendor scorecard is if you do one and you share it with the vendor, a couple of things happen. One thing that happens is they get to actually get the stats of what happened in your store, which, by the way, is an important thing to them. They like to see that. They have to report back to people. They want to know how their goods are performing on the floor and that kind of thing. And so, all of that stuff is super, super important. Okay. Um, and I think also what you'll find is that when you give the vendor scorecard to a vendor and they know they're going to get one at the end of every season, what I find they do is they're a little bit more careful about the goods they put in front of you. Okay, because they know that a scorecard is coming and they want to make sure they're booking more orders again for next season, right? So if they know they're going to see the scorecard, they're going to want to make sure that what they're actually sending you is selling through, and they're going to work with you, I find, to get through it, to make sure that they're actually giving you the best goods and the best service and that sort of thing. Okay. And I think it's your best tool to negotiate if things are not going so well. So here's an actual vendor scorecard. Okay, so if you look at the first column here is the department that we're in. Okay, so casual dresses, formal dresses, short dresses, sweaters, and tops. Okay, and then the styles that are there that we bought. Okay, so for the first couple of columns are, okay, what did I receive? What did I get it? What did I receive in units? What did I hope to get in terms of retail dollars from it? Okay, what did I receive at cost? Okay, and what was my planned or my initial markup? Okay, then next to that's what did we sell? Okay, what do we sell in units? What was the retail of what we sold? The cost of the goods that we sold and our margins. Okay, and then next to that is what do we own? What's still left over after all that's done, right? What's on hand? Units, retail dollars, and cost dollars. Okay, now if I'm working on cash margins, if I'm talking about this top section here, which is casual dresses, right? You can see that if I just did it in inventory and didn't think about the dollars in this, I landed 28 pieces. I sold 21 of that. It's a 75% markup. Yeah, not great, but not too terrible. Okay. That said, look at the margins. I hoped for 54% and I only got 37%. Okay. And if I was looking at cash margin here, right? If you remember, it's what I sold at retail minus what I received at cost. In this case, it'd be 47.29 minus the 37.90, right? So I was really hoping for what? About $4,500 in margin, okay? And I really only got about 1,000. Yikes. Okay. That didn't work out so well. And if you look at the very bottom here, where I show the planned margin versus the actual cash and the difference, right? If I took our planned margin, which is what basically I was hoping to sell at retail minus what I paid for, okay? I was hoping for 94.71 with this vendor. I actually got 35.01. I'm short 59.70. It's a pretty big number, right? Okay. So as you look at that big number that's different, you present that to a vendor and you say, okay, so here's what happened. What do we do? Some vendors will do something, others will do nothing. Okay. If you know they're going to do nothing, it doesn't mean you don't buy from them. It just means that, okay, well, I'm not going to get out of jail free card. Okay. This is going to be what it is, right? But this vendor scorecard is critical to evaluating the vendors, because what you can see is, you know what? I sold the casual dresses, but I didn't get great margin out of them. Okay. I sold about half of the formal dresses, even though I had a little bit of markdowns there. Really, what I did nicely in is short dresses. Okay. Sold almost all of them and held margin the whole way. So when I look at them again for this same season next year, well, maybe I'm not going to work so hard on some of these casual dresses, but I sure am going to look at the short dresses if I think they're good. And if the vendor wants me to land these other ones, I'm going to say, well, look, that's a risk for me. How do you mitigate the risk? Tell me that you're going to take them back if they're not going to work. Okay, or give me markdown money, or get me out of it, or that kind of stuff. But I might not want to spend the 37.90 I spent on the casual dresses, or the 23.40 I spent on the formal dresses, if they're not going to produce the kind of cash margin I was hoping for. Okay. Now, if you have a vendor scorecard, this is how you negotiate with them. If you don't have it, reach out to us. We'll help you get it. If you have it, but you're not sure how to talk to the vendor about it, or you want to go through that exercise, call your Uncle Dan, call your Uncle Dave, call your Aunt Audrey, call all the people that can help you with this, and let's help you figure it out. Okay? All right. Now, so in summary, you got to turn faster now. You have to turn faster now. And if I didn't mention it well enough before, you must turn faster now. Okay. I need you guys to turn faster so that you're not sitting on a ton of inventory, and that you get out of the goods you need to get out of. Okay. Plan when your season is going to end, and plan your end of season inventory. When you look at the plans that we have for you, you'll notice that there's always a forecasted beginning of month inventory. Look at that and look and see where that inventory is going to be. Okay. And make sure that you agree with it, and make sure that you're thinking about that target is going to be there. Not just the sales targets, but also the end of season inventory targets. Okay. Fight for all your margin opportunities. Just keep asking for them. Ask, ask, ask. Use the vendor scorecard, and utilize that to negotiate and win. Okay. You may find that you get some free shipping. Maybe they sponsor a sales contest. Maybe they will co-market with you. Maybe they'll help you with some. Uh, um, Private label or collaborations. I mean, the list is sort of endless. Okay, so I want you to think about that. Okay, all right. Let me get into the marketing stuff now, because I'm a big fan of marketing. That's a dopey statement, isn't it? But it really is true. I think that the marketing is sort of the fun part of the business, and I find that people sometimes don't spend enough time on it. So let's spend a couple minutes talking about that. Okay. So if you thought it was crazy before this whole virus thing started, okay, when the world went e-commerce, okay, the only place they could promote was online and through email. Okay, so whatever other marketing was happening out there just wasn't as effective or as important as some of the online stuff, just because we couldn't reach people, right, any other way. That said, I do really believe that there's some other things that we can do to do that. I'll get into that more when we get to the selling side of things. But certainly, we saw lots of Instagram live events, Facebook live events, lots of emails. And what I can tell you as merchants is this: you have to match the intensity of what's going on in the marketplace. Everybody is emailing, everybody's doing social media, everybody's doing live events, and to get not lost in the noise out there, you have to match the volume. Just as simple as that. Okay. And I believe that the way to do that is to sit yourself down someplace that you're sequestered and away from everybody else, turn off your phone, and map out what you're going to do week by week by week by week. If you know what's coming in, you can map out, this stuff is coming in. I want to market it. I want to tell people about it. I'm doing this event. I'm going to be live on Instagram. I want people to know about it. Here's how I'm going to do it. Here's how I'm going to broadcast it. Here's how I'm going to tell people about it. Here's how they're going to see what's going on. Okay. It has to happen that way all the way through. You've got to map out your plan for each of these things and do all the things that are on this screen. Now, first off, again, as I mentioned before, it's not about discounting. It's about that you're safe. It's about that you're fun. It's about that you have incredible product. And for many of you, it's about local retail. It's about you are their local favorite fun store and place to shop, and that you are individuals like them that are there, that are trying to survive this thing, and you're offering a ray of sunshine in and amidst this nightmare that we've been going through. Many of my stores that are doing well now have done very, very well at just being the fun ray of sunshine in the middle of this nightmare. And that is so important. Do not think that you have to be some big corporate entity. Do not think that you have to be cold or aloof in this whole thing. Be you. Just be an independent retailer that really needs to talk to your customer and wants to be friends with them and wants to see them in the store or see them online or see them at the online events. Okay? Now, certainly, it's also about, if we're going to turn faster, we're going to have some scarcity of product, right? I got this in, but it's not going to be here for long. So you better get going on this thing. Buy it, either come to the store where it's nice and safe, or buy it online, or call us, or email us, or whatever is going to get the transaction going there. But you want to be sure that you have that going. Okay? Now, in many, many webinars and in many meetings with many of you, I have talked forever about video. And I know that some people resist that, don't want to do it, don't love the idea. I don't want to be seen. I don't think people want to see me, that kind of stuff. Look, I have to tell you this, okay? Video is conquering the social media market. Facebook and Instagram will tell you that people spend more time looking at the stories than they do looking at the static posts. And so if you're not doing stories that are meaningful and all that stuff, you're missing the boat. It's as simple as that. And whether you like it or not, or believe it or not, what we want to see? You, you, you. We want to see you. We want to see your smiling face. It makes us feel better to know that you're still there, that you're still doing okay, that life is still going on. Oh, there's my friend. There's a person I used to see all the time, right? They want to see you. So you have to be there. And by the way, the video thing is what's really kind of taking over in so many platforms. And in case you didn't know this, the number one search engine on the planet, you'll know, is Google. Everybody knows that. The number two search engine on the planet is YouTube. Number two, not Bing, not Yahoo, not whatever else you might have thought it might be. It's YouTube. That means that you need to have a YouTube channel with your store name in there, and you need to have videos in there that are properly hashtagged so people can find you, and you have a lot of videos up there. Okay, so look, my first point in this slide about videos and live events, I wrote, just do it, just do it. So resist the fear, the oh, we can't, it's too hard, it can't be done. What I can promise you is that people who are less sophisticated and less technical and even less willing to be in front of the camera are doing it and being successful. So just make your schedule, do it. And even if you do live events and I'm the only person in the room, okay, if you do them constantly and consistently, people will start to show up. They'll get the message, okay? Lastly, I really do believe, by the way, that you really have to make sure that it's more natural and homespun than anything else. Okay, what I don't want you to do is worry about it being some big Steven Spielberg, fade up, beautiful music thing. Okay, it doesn't need to be that. Frankly, the more raw and natural that it is, the better. If you literally just busted out your phone, because every phone takes video now, right? So if you just busted out your phone and is shaky and is unpolished as it is, if someone just recorded you opening a box of brand new merchandise and you showed that, that would be better than any other super polished crazy video thing that you do. Okay, now. Um, I talk a lot about emails. Email marketing is still the number one driver of sales at retail. Don't go by my word. Talk to the people at the National Retail Federation, okay, or Foundation. Talk to the people at Direct Marketing Association of America. They will tell you it is still the number one driver of sales at retail. Period. End of story. Okay. Now, that said, people worry us sometimes and they talk to me about, oh, but people are going to unsubscribe. I'm going to annoy people, blah, 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 that kind of thing. It just isn't true. If your unsubscribe rate's less than 2%, you're not bothering anybody, so keep going. Okay. And I'm going to give you a math example of how important email is in the next slide. But email is everything. Okay, not sure about what you want to do strategy wise, talk to us about it. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help you on that. But the emails just need to be short, they need to be bullet points, they need to have some great photography in there and just be fun and be that ray of sunshine in the midst of all this stuff. Now watch this, okay? This is an actual customer. They have 8,021 names on their email list. They have an open rate of about 22.6%. Not too bad, right? Pretty good. That means that when they sent out their last email, about 1,800 people got the message. Okay. And because they were able to click through and go to their website, 400 people browsed the site to look for stuff. Okay. They had an unsubscribe rate of 1.4%. That's high. But what it also means is that 112 people left their email list. Okay. And I know what that does to you. For some people, it makes you feel like, oh, it's like high school and you throw a party and nobody comes. It feels terrible. I get it. I get the horror of that. All that to say, it's not important. I'm happy to trade the 112 non-customer people that weren't going to shop me anyway. Okay. If I can get the message out to 1,800 people, and if 400 of those decide they actually are going to go and take a look, okay, I'll throw those 112 away. Isn't that worth it? Don't you think? So I want you to think about those numbers. So watch them. Watch your open rate, watch your click through, and watch your unsubscribe rate. And if you're not comfortable with those numbers, reach out to us. We'll help you with that. But the main thing is that you've got to keep the emails going. Okay? All right. So email 2 or 3 times a week. Right now, it's probably 2 times a week is enough. 3 times is really more of a holiday or when you're headed into a big selling period. I would do that. Okay. Got to do social media postings every single day. And the more video you do, the better. And stories are everything, right? Make sure you've got a YouTube channel going there. I like to cross promote with other businesses. So if you're near a restaurant, and God knows restaurants are struggling, right? It's been a really, really rough time for restaurants. So if they're struggling, and you can help them by just sending an email blast out to your people. Say, hey, by the way, our favorite restaurant is Bob's Barbecue Place right near us, and they'll give you a free appetizer if you mention this ad. You don't need to work that out with them. Uh, um, I find that to be very, very effective. Okay. The main thing is to show that you're safe, that you're friendly, it's fun to be there, that you are still there, and that you still have amazing, fun merchandise to offer. Okay. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about selling because, well, what good is any of this if we don't sell the stuff, right? So there we go. All right, here we go. Um, now, so let's talk about staffing. It's a funny time with the whole, PPE stuff. It's funny, or PPP stuff. It's a funny time because, you want to be loyal to your staff, and we're trying to figure out what to do with staff. And people have been furloughed, and people have been let go, and some people didn't want to come back, and there's health considerations and all that kind of stuff. Okay, and again, I feel bad for the people in the restaurant industry because they've had probably the toughest go of all of them. I have friends in that industry too, and I would tell you that it's tougher in the restaurant industry than it is almost anywhere else, because they can't, here in California, there's no inside dining. Tremendous limitations across the country and across the world. And many, many of those people that were in the restaurant industry are on the street, which means that and there are other industries that have people on the street too. I've heard people tell me that there are a lot of sales reps that, used to work for vendors that are on the street now, et cetera. I would tell you this, that because there's so many people on the street right now, you know, not that I want to be disloyal to anybody. I don't. Not that I want to be hard on your staff. I don't. But if you've got people that are really not uh, um, that are not carrying the weight of doing a good job of selling to your customers, of clienteling, and of doing all the things that should be happening out there, it's not a bad time to look. There are people that want to work. There are people that are great customer service people that might have been in a sister industry or nearby or that kind of stuff that really want to work and want to be great service people. It's a good time to talk to them. Okay, I want to make sure that you have the best customer service you can possibly have. Okay, so we're always looking for people that are outgoing and willing, always looking for people that are going to have fun at the store and want to be there. Okay, and are willing to brave some of the craziness that's going on out there. So think about that as you think about your staff. Okay, again, I'm not telling you to be disloyal, but if you've got someone that's not really doing the stuff, I was talking to one of my clients the other week, and she was telling me, yeah, I beg people to get on the phone and call customers and just say hello. And it's a fight to get them to do it. They don't want to, and the call they make is lousy. I'm like, well, why are you tolerating that now? Okay, this is the time to get the best of the best of the best. All right. So I believe that clienteling is no longer an option. Okay, you got to get personal. So if you'll forgive a sports metaphor, it's not the time to play zone. It's time to play man to man. By that I mean, um, I want to reach out to the individual people that are part of my store, that are part of my community, that are part of my life, and I want to go, just how are you doing? How's it going? The message should be fun, friendly, shouldn't feel like a horrible cold call. It shouldn't be the, hi, this is Dan from Dan's Emporium, and I wanted to let you know that we have some amazing merchandise. Like, don't do that. Okay? Just go up and say, and be yourself, be uniquely you. And just be like, hey, how's it going? What are you doing? Are you making it through this whole thing? Is it okay? Are you surviving? Can I help you in some way? Okay, these are the things that we want to make sure that we're doing with people. Okay, we want to make sure that they're having that we're reaching out, that they know who we are, that they know that we're there, that we're fun, etc. And you know what, if you actually send a cheerful message to somebody and you actually have a good conversation with someone, you might actually make their day, because God only knows what they're going through, right? People are going through all kinds of crazy things. So make the phone call, be the ray of sunshine, and just show that you're happy and that you're there every single day. I'm telling some of my stores to make 5 calls a day, 10 calls a day, 20 calls a day. Depends on your customer list and how many phone numbers you have, but make the phone calls, do the emails, do the texting, get in front of people and show them that you're there, that you're happy, that you're fun, that your store is safe, that you've got amazing merchandise, and put yourself out there. Okay, it's an important part of the thing. Now, we certainly have to maximize every single sale, right? If I do get them to come across the threshold in this difficult time, what I don't want them to do is just buy a thing, right? If they came to my store to buy a blouse and I only sell them a blouse, I'm a cashier, not a salesperson. Okay, so um, I'm a big fan of this pre-opening drill where you just grab them and you randomly pick up something off the floor and go, if I picked up this, what goes with it? What else would you offer? It's a good drill when the store is quiet to just walk around and go, if I pick up item A, what are items B, C, and D that I would talk about on top of that? I'm also a big fan of the what I like to call the scavenger hunt, which is you do a report of everything that you received that week. You get that report out of your point of sale system. Not sure how to get that. You call your Uncle Dan. But anyway, you get the report out of you get the report of what came in, and you make your salespeople go on a scavenger hunt. Find it on the floor. Where is it? So they know when someone does come in where the new, fresh, fun, exciting stuff is, and they're not in the moment trying to figure that out. Certainly, we're big fans of measuring units per transaction, an average dollar sale. It is the measure of whether or not we're actually connecting with customers, we're actually doing a good job of selling to them, that kind of stuff. And by the way, I wrote on here, ask them for ideas. Sometimes staff members forget that, like, they do have some level of creativity, and I invite them to, pretend like it's their name on the door. And if it was your name on the door, what would you do to get people in here? Okay, what would you do? How would you make it work? Okay, what would you say? Is there some clever things you might say? Are there some clever online event ideas or even in-store events or stuff like that? People are still doing in-store events, I find. They're not doing to the same scale where we want to have a big doorbuster kind of deal, but they are still doing events, so it's happening. Okay. And I do believe that alternative selling methods are going to continue. So curbside is going to continue. People seem to like that. E-commerce obviously is going to continue to grow. All these online events and buy online, pick up in store, buy online, pick up at curb, after hour appointments, delivery, all that's going to continue. And so you want to make sure that you are set up both in terms of your point of sale systems and in terms of your policies and procedures and your operations to take advantage of all that kind of stuff. Make sure that's happening. Okay. All right. So, just a quick recap. I talked a lot about controlling the inventory. I think turning faster is everything right now. I think negotiating for better margins is everything right now. And also using the vendor scorecard is hugely important. On the marketing side, do lots of video, show that you're safe, you're friendly, you're fun, that you're there to help, and that you want to be part of the joy. Okay. And on the selling side, let's make sure that we have the best customer service possible. Let's make sure they're clienteling. Let's make sure they're reaching out. Let's talk to people and make sure things are going the right way. Now, Retail Smart Guys is here to help you with all that. I'm here to help you with that, as are all my brethren in Retail Smart Guys. So if you are If you're unsure about any of this, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. Our cell phones are on day and night to make sure that we're helping you. If you're not a client yet and want to find out more, please reach out to us. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, we did add some additional services this year that I want to tell you really about quickly. Okay, so in the upper left-hand corner is our planning, our merchandise planning, open and buy. We've done that for forever, and it's still the centerpiece of what we do. And so uh, I do believe in my heart it's the best way for us to help you get the right cash flow, have the right merchandise, monitor the business properly, and evaluate what's going on. Okay, but we added 3 new things this year that I want to tell you about. One of them is bookkeeping. So we have some great folks that can help. That will help with bookkeeping. So if you're struggling with keeping your books up to date, or if you've got a really expensive bookkeeper, what I can tell you is that I found a way to do it with a group that will enable you to do it for less than you're paying now. I can guarantee that. Same thing with purchase order entry. If you struggle with purchase order entry, then we actually have a group that will help you do it. You'll scan your purchase orders, so we can do it virtually. They'll connect virtually and enter your purchase orders for you. So if you're constantly going, God, how am I going to know these orders in? Okay, because we hear that all the time. We can help you do that. And also, we've got a group that will help you post your social media. I'm actually utilizing them now. So actually, we're utilizing. We don't have purchase orders, but the bookkeeping and the social media stuff we're utilizing right now. So what these guys do is I give them an outline of stuff that I want us to talk about in social media. I give them a little bit of the text. She creates the post. She creates the artwork. She created this slide as an example, and she posts them for us. So if you're an existing customer, or if you're not a customer and you're interested in these things, let us help you with those. Okay. If you're not a customer, right now I have an offer for you. If you'd like to spend an hour with me to go through what's happening in your business, that kind of stuff, I'm happy to do that. We'll do an inventory evaluation. We'll do whatever it is that we can to help you thrive and succeed in this moment in time. Okay, we're here just to make all that happen for you. Okay, all right. With that said, that's my presentation. So there's a couple of questions that popped up in the chat here. Let me try and answer some of those. All right, let's see. Okay. Any more thoughts about what to expect first quarter? Sure. Let me talk about that for a minute. I think that we're in sort of a little bit of a weird time right now. We're getting ready to inaugurate a new president, and there's questions about what's going to happen in the economy. And he just announced something about what he wants to do in terms of PPP money and that kind of stuff. At the same time, we've got the highest unemployment claims going ever, and all kinds of craziness. Okay, so I think that your selling is going to be close to last year, January and February, and probably we'll start to see a little bit more pickup in March. All that to say, it's a really good time to just evaluate the age of the inventory that you've got on hand right now. Evaluate the goods that you've got that are coming in, and evaluate that ending inventory and make sure that it's okay. Okay, make sure that you got that nailed down. That's really kind of super, super critical important. Okay. Okay, let me see if there's any other ones in here. Um, okay, here's a question about video. What's the ideal length? I would say about 2 minutes. Okay, do it quick. Quick video about what's working, what you love, what's happening in your store, etc. That kind of thing. Okay. And again, as shaky and weird as is fine. Doesn't matter. Okay, really, it's okay on that one. Okay. Here's the next one. Do you have a commission plan that you recommend? Yeah, we do have a couple of varieties of commission plans. Reach out to us. We're happy to share those with you. It's going to depend on your store and your volume and your margins and stuff like that. But definitely, I want to incentivize these folks to do the right thing in terms of commission. Okay, and I want the commissions to be right. Sometimes commission plans that are from $1 I'm not as big a fan of, because I find that then it becomes entitlement. I prefer that they have to hit a goal first, and then we give them a better commission. So give that some thought. Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions in here. Certainly, if you got any more, pop them in there. I've got on this slide, though, my cell phone number and my email address. So certainly reach out to me, reach out to Dave if you need to, reach out to Audrey if you need to, reach out to any of us if you need to. But we're here to make sure that you are successful and that we have an amazing, amazing 2021. And I believe if you do the things that I mentioned on these slides, I really do believe not only will you make, will this year be better than last year, but it can more than make up for last year. Okay. If you're not sure, reach out to your Uncle Dan. That's what I'm here for. Okay. All right. With that, I think we'll wrap it up unless there are any other questions. If there are other questions, throw them into the chat there. But I want to thank you guys all for showing up today and for being part of the presentation. And please stay healthy, stay safe, keep your business, attack it full bore, and let us help you with any of that we can. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.